4v3.
Everfrog Esports trying to find the angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a wall. We're gonna deflect. White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Sanji gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Sanji's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga4 is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick on the Leaky. You're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the 8? They get the 8.
Look, everybody, hope you've had a fantastic week so far. We're already 2 whole weeks in to the CGL playoff action, and hey, we're continuing things here today in the EU Masters tier. And Megalas, we're going to be saying goodbye to one of these 2 teams here today in the lower bracket. It's either going to be Dragon's Gravity or SCR Ascendants. And both of these teams, obviously, you go into the season, you go into playoffs more so, you lose that first game, and now both of them need to bounce back here and now.
Exactly, back against the wall, no more do-overs. And hey, listen, those Cinderella runs are always fun, where you go all the way through the lower bracket, so what better place than to start right here. As we get a quick look at our bracket, we see that this is actually the last lower round one here. Everybody else has pretty much decided, sort of waiting on this match, as it were, to figure out opponents and things like that here. So both these teams definitely going to be giving it their all, especially with the teams that sent them down to lower bracket at different stages as well, right? You have those things to consider, people potentially wanting to fight, give themselves that extra energy for a rematch later on, so it should be a good one.
Yeah, 100% should be. We'll see what that'll be the case. We've had the last couple of games in this division be map 5s as well, so you never know what that might bring for these squads. Of course, teams act differently depending when they take that loss. Some bounce back very quickly, others not quite the case, but we'll find out pretty quickly what the situation is going to be. As, you go into the situation, you decide where you want to go, obviously higher seed picks, and it's going to be Lijiang Tower. No surprise whatsoever, it's been picked for pretty much a majority of the games so far as the first map. It's not a shocker whatsoever.
Yeah, not a shocker in the slightest, right? Lijiang Tower, the bread and butter of control here. And, every single time this map comes up, I say the same exact thing. It's a very good standard test, right, for these squads. You're going to see very similar compositions across all 3 points. You're going to see these teams sort of match up on things they're probably very comfortable on here. So it is a good eye test at the very least to see how people are going to match up as we progress through the series and things get a little more niche on different maps.
Yeah, we'll definitely kind of get towards that. This is definitely that point early on where we're just going to see comfortability from a lot of these squads, and that flexibility is going to be tested more and more as we go along. And the bans are another reason why we'll kind of see that flexibility be tested, as right away, Dragon's Gravity going to get rid of the Wrecking Ball, and SCR Ascendants getting rid of the Symmetra. We saw the Symmetra be banned out yesterday in a different matchup, and it does affect Lijiang quite a bit because those TP strats directly into windows to get to the point quicker, it's not going to be available anymore.
Yeah, and generally it is those teleports right out of the spawn and then swapped over that you do see, but on occasion you do see people try to pilot the Symmetra on Lijiang with some of the brawl comps here, so taking that out, making it a more standard brawl is going to be interesting. And then of course, like you highlighted with the ball as well here, just a little different flavor of dive here as we get a quick look at both of these squads here. And again, I'm very interested to see, highlighted heroes are never the sole indicator here, but Dragon's Gravity at the very least, clearly with the Reinhardt Hubbard, I think Petit, we definitely would love to bring that one out.
Oh, it would be fantastic. I pray for the day I get to see some Ryan gameplay. It feels like it's been a hot minute since I've seen it, or at least I should say work successfully. So we'll find out here pretty shortly. And hey, Lijiang's a pretty decent map to pull out the Reinhardt. We'll see if we end up getting something like a control center that early on could definitely play into that favor. But hey, again, we're just going to have to get here momentarily and see what the case is going to be, Mega, because you might be a team that wants to go heavy on that brawl, and then, hey, you have to start out something like Gardens, which is a little more flexible in terms of, like, hey, we could play the poke here. Some people will bring things out like the Pharah, the Echo, where it can be a little difficult to deal with at times.
Exactly, right? And that's, again, the beauty of Lijiang. Where you have to, have that little bit of flexibility. You're not going to be able to pilot the same composition all the way through. You do have to make slight adaptations as you go through the map and stuff. But it seems like we are starting out on, I was going to say Control Center. I feel as though that's correct.
It's Night Market.
This is Night Market. Okay, so disregard any and everything here.
I think.
But Night Market without a Symmetra is interesting because you did also bring up those Pharah plays as well here. This is something where there's a lot of cover, especially the large tower. Get it? Because Lijiang Tower. Or a Pharah to potentially hide behind and stuff. But neither team clearly wanting to roll that at the start here. We're seeing.
Oh, I'm a liar.
It was control. All right, Hunter, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Take it. I'm done. I quit.
I have caused my fellow podcaster to crash out before my very eyes, and I could not be happier. I will take the L on that one, but this fight is going to get going here pretty quickly. Dragon's Gravity taking the time, just trying to surround his Accordi, already using one bubble, has to be careful to use that second. The moment that it's out, you're going to see an insane rush come through, and there it goes. The insane rush immediately Nakano able to help get rid of that, and now Point going to be headed over. Dragon's Gravity takes away that first fight. Ascendants just got to run for the hills and reset.
Yeah, and that's sort of going to be the Sojourn's thing here, is just constantly staying at a distance against Dragon's Gravity's composition. Because again, that's what Sojourn can do, right? Playing the space and things like that is going to be crucial to trying to get these picks early on.
No, 100% it's going to be. And now it's a rough situation. Actually, if T-Wee gets super low, end up having to, take care of yourself right there and use that cooldown just to be able to stay alive. So, Yuna, she's going to have to play a little bit more carefully, but with Pick Whips down, there's not a whole lot that Ascendants can do at the moment.
Nope, so just another reset here. And again, it's definitely difficult for Accordi to be able to engage, right? You're seeing these bubbles get expended so that it's just the spam damage coming through the choke here. Dragon's Gravity really has a lock on it.
Yeah, 100%. And Accordi again going down early. And now you're just kind of shooting from spawn with your Pig Whips. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like you're going to find anything from that. And yeah, that's going to be another fight done and dusted, and Dragon's Gravity are just holding down this choke.
Exactly. You trade the High Noon for that Overclock. That's a trade you'll take any day of the week if you are the High Noon, of course, here. And again, look at these engages. Accordi simply can't even get in. Sure, you get high energy, but immediately having to run for the hills.
Yeah, 100%. Now 70% in counting. This is already coming down to final fight territory. Accordi has just been deleted in I mean, SCR hasn't even gotten into the building in the last 2 or 3 fights, and Dragon's Gravity has everything under the sun to work with still.
Exactly, right? That plethora of ultimates is going to be massive. Having the Sound Barrier as an answer to the Graviton Surge, as well as a Death Blossom, and even the Annihilation to boot here, it's really going to make SCR's ascent into the point here just that much more difficult here, so we have to see if they can even break in.
Yeah, we'll see if that's going to be the case. I mean, I don't even know if we're going to get a touch, but a touch does come through momentarily. But everything has been used just to get on to the point. And now, I mean, you still have something to use. You get a flip momentarily, but momentarily is the key here right now. You do have Marlon, who is helping hold on right now. Milloware are able to hang around as well. But this should feel like an inevitable flip coming through here. It's good for stall, and then the solo ult from the Death Blossom is going to take care of business, and this is nice stall, but unfortunately Ascendants just had nothing to work with going into this one.
Yeah, I mean, sending the Tracer around, a very nice touch there, but again, it wasn't necessarily the issue of energy, right? You saw Accordi definitely was getting high charge there at points here to be able to deal that consistent damage, but unfortunately, when Ramatra has the shield as well as that block ability, you have to be able to get past him onto the rest of the team, and Petit Wee was doing an excellent job at just sort of zoning back the rest of SCR, and specifically at Zarya, and not allowing anybody in here. Now that we have swapped over to the actual night market, Hunter Tane,
Love it here.
it's going to be interesting to see the slight adaptation with Marlon now over to the Genji. Obviously, this gives you more frontline damage, which you may need to finally burst down this Ramattra, but it means you are going to lack that flank potential here, so these supports are going to go even more unchecked.
I mean, yeah, no, 100%. And if you're Dragon's Gravity in this situation, I'm trying to do the exact same thing I did before. Go directly over the point, hand it over, and make Ascendant have to run in and do this fight. But instead, they're just taking all that aggression. And hey, it doesn't work out too brilliantly. Accordi, right out the gate, is going to get rid of that Cassius, so Dragon's Gravity is going to have to back out. You're going to see Immortality being expended super early on, and if I'm Ascendants, I'm going. You int on this. You push hard. You can't just stand at this choke. Being a Zarya, you're going to get burnt away. Cleanse is going to come at the last second to save some lives, but the moment Dragon's Gravity has taken over the point, and this inaction that you see out the gate here from Ascendants is potentially going to cost them this fight.
Potentially, but with the removal of the Baptiste, things do get a little bit easier here. But again, just look how hesitant this Zarya is potential. And, 550 HP, it really isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things. So these constant bursting down of the Zarya is brutal.
Yeah, and now you lose out on the Zarya, and I mean, that should cut it right then and there. Everyone else is going to inevitably get chased down. Pigwhip's is trying to peek and get something, but they're going to chase out, and Marlon goes down. So this long fight is going to get them nothing but, I mean, all charge.
Exactly. So, SCR just have completely wasted their time up to this point. There were some good plays from the Zarya, right? Being able to look past Petite Weed and finally get some damage in, taking Yuna out of the fight. Those are those opening moments that you can look for here. But again, the Zarya just feels a little too fragile. Once the slow field's thrown, the bubbles are wasted, you really have no way to live here. And so everybody has to just be careful.
Yeah. Already treading out ultimates right now, Yuna. Trying to find a little something. A little help there. Gets rid of Marlon. Is going to stomp this fight down once again. 6% and counting. Accordi again has to take a reset. And Ascendants have to pull back. And Accordi's not doing a bad job on the Zarya. But Petite Weed and everybody else is just zoning in on them once there's no bubbles left.
Exactly. It's not the matter of the player, it's the matter of the character, right? Zarya just simply cannot break through. Because look at Dragon Gravity comp, right? Like, obviously they're sacrificing the range. Oh, the Blossom!
Yeah, and that is gonna be massive. Pigup's not even gonna make it back inside. It's just Marlon hanging around. Marlon is gonna go down, and now you have the bummer limit. Best you could do is like force a grab and try to get somebody through.
I mean, yeah, that's the hope and the dream here, but it's just going to be met with an annihilation as well here. So what do you realistically try to do?
Nothing you can do. You're gonna try to force your way over. I mean, Pigup's is gonna get a touch, but unfortunately just doesn't have any cooldowns. I mean, you could go with your rush. Unfortunately, it's not going to mean anything. You're going to try to get in there. It's not going to happen. So that is a really quick one there for Dragon's Gravity. Going in, taking this first one away. And I mean, all the credit in the world for them. They don't actually end up losing a single fight. They gave over a little bit of percentage on that first round, but that was pretty much it.
Exactly. And so already having like that level of confidence behind your brawl composition, it's absolutely amazing to see here for the side of Dragon's Gravity. Because again, they weren't necessarily doing anything fancy, right? It was simply front loading, putting all of that pressure onto the opposite tank here. And once, you remarked on it, there was no engage potential for SCR where they felt like they could get in, they could actually engage any proper way here. So just constantly putting that pressure onto one single player, it really was making the difference here. So SCR now has to find a way to respond, whether that's swapping up characters, swapping up strategies, whatever it may be here. But currently they find themselves on a bit of a back foot.
Yeah, 100%. And for Dragon's Gravity, that's exactly what they need. And just a reminder, this was the lowest seeded team going into the playoffs, and it's them trying to bounce back here, and so far they're doing a great job of it. I mean, SCR can't seem to get anything going at the moment, but we've seen this in the past. Mega, some teams kind of just struggle in certain compositions more than others. Some tend to be like, hey, we are a dive team, we go to dive match as much as humanly possible. When we don't, we start to struggle. That happens more often than not, but we live in a day and age of Overwatch where you need to be able to play all these different kinds of compositions at least consistency enough at a good level because when you run into a team like this, that Dragon's Gravity, that is going to constantly, pretty much keep rushing down your throat every single time, you need to have a response. And unfortunately for Ascendants, they've been kind of getting barraged down before they've had a chance to really do much in the fight.
Exactly. And generally the response to that front heavy composition is, the best way to put it is sort of biding your time. You sort of need to set up somebody like a Sojourn on the off angles like we saw on that first round there. But I mean, even then, you weren't finding purchase, right? I mean, those chokes were incredibly difficult to burst through. And, I think Dragon's Gravity is fully aware of the weakness of their composition, certainly being the range. And being able to play around that weakness by playing in specific map points that sort of enable their composition to maximum potential there. It's, again, another smart move here. And obviously, how you remarked that technically they are the lowest seed coming into this, that's the beautiful thing about playoffs. At the end of the day, it's a clean slate. You made it here. You got over the finish line. Now it's time to go out and give it your all, kicking and screaming. And it seems like Dragon's Gravity is doing just that.
Yeah, no, they're 100% doing that. And if they can keep up this consistency right here, it could be a short night for both of these squads. But hey, if you're in the SCR Ascendants position right now, you get to once again decide what map we're going to go to. And obviously, the pool is wide open when you're in the second map. Honestly, it's arguably the best map to lose, honestly, is the first one, because you have as many choices as you can think of going into the second. So if you decide, hey, we don't like having to play this upfront style in these weird chokes, or I should say these chokes that allows for aggression to thrive, we could take it to somewhere where, hey, let's open up the map a little more. Let's bring our DPS into the equation a little bit. You'll see teams sometimes go to something like a Gibraltar, like a Circuit Royale, Midtown from time to time, honestly. There are definitely a lot of options. The question is, what are they going to be most comfortable on doing here? Because it's going to be a weird situation if we see them come out here. And Mega, we've seen it happen many times in our careers where teams will pretty much fall on the sword. They will try to run that brawl into them for the next 2 or 3 maps, and it just never ends up working out.
Yeah, you definitely have to have some sort of flexibility in the tank here. But that's a beautiful thing, right? Look on paper at SCR's Ascendants roster, right? They've got 10 different players signed to this team. Generally, that could be seen as too many cooks in the kitchen, but also it shows that you have flexibility. Once again, you have people who can get into the lobby as needed. You have people that can sort of play these different strategies and things like that. So even if somebody isn't necessarily comfortable on certain characters and stuff like that, it's, hey, listen, not your day. It's fine. We'll get somebody else in to do something like that. So hopefully they do have some sort of response or some sort of ability to do that here. Versus, again, just to highlight on the other side, Dragon's Gravity, it's just these 5 players. There's no secret horseman coming to save the day if things start to go awry here. But at the end of the day, they looked incredibly confident. They looked amazing. I'm just interested to see if it is just this one composition or if they have more in the tank, because if it's just the one composition, then obviously there's 2 things that need to be highlighted. One, can they play this on maps that are dive maps and things like that, or do they have that adaptation like we were talking about?
Yeah, 100%. We'll see what the adaptation is going to be like here, as, hey, we've had that map selection come through for SCR Ascendants. They're taking us over to Saravasa in this. Maybe this doesn't really change much of what we're going to see. Obviously, bans pending, but if Dragon's Gravity just wanted to come out with, like, almost the exact same comp that they ran, nothing realistically stops them from doing so.
I appreciate the confidence wholeheartedly here,
Yeah.
right? Like, there's a level to this, the SCR, that I have to respect, where they're like, listen, we'll still absolutely brawl it out. We'll take you to a brawl map being Flashpoint. Now the question is, what bans come with that? Obviously, the Ramatra is probably going to be a pretty heavy target here. But overall, it shows a level of confidence, but like you said, Hunter, some teams, they get a little overconfident, a little too full of themselves, trying to prove something that they don't necessarily need to prove and end up falling on the sword themselves.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll see what Ascendants want to do in this situation in terms of the ban. Obviously, they did get the Symmetra taken out earlier on and didn't, unfortunately, make too much of a difference. So hoping for something a little better here. You could obviously go ahead and target the tank route. You could get rid of that Ramatra and take away some of that aggression that we saw before that was getting a lot done. But instead, it's going to be the Cassidy being taken care of. So that means, hey, obviously DPS protected away, but Cassidy's not something that we really saw get I mean, it got some value, but I wouldn't have called it the most effective tool from oh my god, from Dragon Gravity's belt.
Yeah, and it's certainly an interesting way to go about punishing it, right? Because taking away the Cassidy, obviously it can technically hinder the composition, but you can still front load with just the Ramattra Reaper, and if anything, you give the potential to have sort of that other DPS slot go over to the Sojourn to match the range here. Meanwhile, Dragon's Gravity is going to go ahead and ban out the Kiriko. And again, this plays into Dragon's Gravity's strength. No Kiriko, no Cleansing Suzu. Means that the Ramattra slow field is going to be a bit more of a permanent thorn in the side here. And that get out of jail free card we saw a lot of times being the only thing that was keeping tanks alive here. But we have had a tank swap for the side of SCR, so maybe we're seeing a completely different strategy in play.
Yeah, definitely could be the situation. Bonkrel being brought in. Obviously, that ball is on display. Don't know how well ball could potentially work out on Survasa, but obviously, the character you see before you isn't always representative of what we'll actually see. But I like that Ascendants are going to come out here and realize, hey, let's make a swap over right now. The Zarya clearly isn't working. Let's bring in something else. Let's try a different style. Try to make it work. This is one of the bright sides you have when you have a bigger roster, is you have more choices to have. You'll have typically, it's not as typical nowadays, but you would have two tanks on a roster. One that kind of went down these brawl aggressive routes, and others that go down these dive/poke routes. You have different people that specialize in different things. It's a little bit more realistic to see which way they're going based on who's in. But in that same situation, it means you have that flexibility to move around. And if one tank's, I'm down, I'm not doing good, the other one comes in, it can be an excellent pick-me-up.
Yeah, and that momentum shift can be absolutely massive, like you were saying. I mean, it does certainly help to have that flexibility on a roster, even though, like you said, it's not necessarily guaranteed these days like it used to be. A lot of tanks have definitely had to pick up the slack, ever since the changeover to Overwatch 2, and definitely being a little bit more of a any and everything sort of pick. So it will be interesting to see what Bonker plays. I mean, obviously the Wrecking Ball was highlighted there. And Wrecking Ball is certainly in an interesting state where if you're a good Wrecking Ball, you can be the thorn in the side everybody expects you to be. But at the same time, if you're caught in a slow field time and time again, I have an odd feeling there's only going to be one way this ends.
Yeah, definitely potential case there. We'll see if the ball comes out, and if it does, how long it may come out for. We'll find out momentarily as we're ready to head into Survasa, second map of the series. It's not exactly back fully against the wall yet, but you really want to take this one away, make this a compelling series, and not have to reverse sweep your way back.
Exactly. And nobody wants to be in the position of a reverse sweep. Except for the team that's already up 2-0, because like, hey, it's great. Everything's going our way. But yeah, as we are getting into the map here, we do see the Malga highlighted here in the spawn. The question is that Malga going to be real? Because I know some teams have been running it to mixed levels of result, especially now that you do have the sim back in play if you want to teleport it around. But we do actually have to just continue to wait and see.
Well, looks like it is going to be the case, and Matthew Weed is still going to be sticking over on that Ramattra. We're seeing a quick TP out as Laxon is going to be going back over to that Reaper. So Dragon's Gravity is going to get there slightly quicker and will be able to take position on the point, which is going to make it difficult because Attendance is now going to have to work with this Malga in a very particular way, where it's not going to be as easy to simply jump in and get your value. You have to plan this out properly. But gets an excellent stomp. Gonna force that Immortality Field. They have position on the point. Mega, this is exactly how you want to get a fight started if you're Ascendants.
Exactly, right? And again, it's just being able to hold the space and things like that here. But Bunker is currently being zoned, so this could be deadly.
Yeah, and Pig Whips has gone down, and Monko tried to jump right back up. Unfortunately, it's already been taken care of. Yeah, clear bodies out, and it works out beautifully. Marlon ends up going down. Only 50% on the board as eventually full finish comes through, and Ascendants, I think, are going to try it again. Because to be fair, it started out really well.
Yeah, It started out really well. I think the issue is just having a little bit more synergy in your burst, right? Like whenever Bunker slams, I feel like Marlon has to be there with the sticky bombs, and then potentially a focusing beam to follow up and secure some eliminations off of these stomp engages. Because otherwise, it is just a Malga sort of running in alone and getting bursted down pretty effectively.
Yeah, 100%. You see this aggression, but T-Wade is not letting up on anybody. If someone goes in, they're going to give that pressure every single time. But here we go, investment unit being taken care of. Nakano did have a beat at the ready, isn't going to expend it. You're going to see a chase down here, and you might eventually get rid of Bonkrel, but the damage has already been done, 70% plus, so you do manage to get up to what is essentially one-fight territory. But Ascendants and Dragon's Gravity are around the corner from a ton of ults.
Yeah, this is going to be a heavy ult fight on both squads here. I think I'm going to be watching Milo here because specifically the sound barrier needs to be built in time, right? With the plethora of everything that's coming at you, Dragon's Gravity already having the sound barrier gives them such a massive defensive tool against any and everything, whereas this 15% could be the thing that costs people.
Yeah, 100%, and it's going to be Pig Whips! 4 people being taken care of easy! PC Lemon Squeezy. But, Mega, they die quick enough to the point where a recontestation is real.
A recontest is real, and that's why you're seeing SCR immediately try to play up, because they still have other ults that they can chuck into this one, so they definitely just don't want to deal with anything crazy like that, and obviously, that's going to be the case here with this engage.
Yep, 100%. They're going to be bum rushing it over to the point. We'll see whether or not it'll take over. We are going to see the aggression come through, and they're going to be cleaning up house. You do get a flip, though, and it is 5v3 territory. If I'm Petit Weed, though, I don't even think I'm bothering investing in the situation right here. But, hey, telling me wrong. I'm not a player, am I? I don't know well enough. But, unfortunately, it's just not going to work out. Bonkrel does end up going down, but this is a stall game that is just not going to end pretty for Dragon's Gravity. Ascendant's going to take this first one away, and I love the aggression. They dump almost all the ult bank, and it works out beautifully for him.
Yeah, I mean, the W key is the answer in that situation. Dragon's Gravity felt the pressure of needing to get towards the objective here, and SCR manages to actually hold on to their orbital right as well. That's going to be a beautiful tool, not just in terms of surviving the only other ultimate on the board, the overclock. It is also just going to be, again, more of that aggression and being able to enable the rest of the team to go in. His bunker might be a little too deep.
Just a little bit, just a little too much, and it doesn't work out beautifully. And now, all you can really do is kind of throw yourselves at the wall here, but they managed to get it back to 3v3 territory. Marlon is just going wild, by the way. Pigwhip somehow stays alive through all of that with no cooldowns, and the DPS clutch this one up. Bonkrel, it has to be thanking their DPS immensely right now.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, SCR lost that dead to rights, but being able to not only force out the OC, but then win the fight off of those clutch picks, like you were saying, it's absolutely amazing to see here. So SCR now find themselves definitely on an upswing, still with the orbital right in the back pocket, closing in on those DPS ultimates. Really going to make this next fight miserable for Dragon's Gravity to try to find an opening.
100%. And we're getting close to this copy as well. If you're Marlon, you're looking to find something nice. Unfortunately, you're in a bit of a strained area. Still could be alive, though. That copy could be integral for pulling this one back around, but unfortunately, Laxon is just going to help clear this one back around. Everyone going to hit the reset button. Marlon does get one on the way out. Unfortunately, I mean, their death is inevitable.
Yeah, a certain inevitability there. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it has to happen because Dragon's Gravity now in control of the point. And again, you know, being able to survive some of these ultimates, it definitely is showing that both these teams have that adaptation and things like that. But SCR coming into this with both DPS ultimates, closing in on a cage as well. We saw how deadly that was with Pig Whips before. We'll have to see if that combo can occur again.
Yeah, we will definitely see this fight super integral for the rest of this map right here. A lot of ultimates going to be on board for both teams very shortly, specifically double support ultimate for Dragon's Gravity, and it's not really even going to be necessary at this stage of the game, but Nagano gets 2 with the boop! Now we're in a 2v2, and you're going to wonder whether or not you're going to invest here. And unfortunately, it's going to be really rough if you decide to, and Bonkrel is going to go for it, thinks that this can be taken care of, and in fact, they are 100% correct. It's a great play from Nakano. Unfortunately, all it's going to result in is an extra maybe 20% as they will eventually have to give the fight over.
Yeah, they'll have to eventually give this flip over here. But SCR did take their sweet time getting that one over, so now Dragon's Gravity will have a chance to re-engage with both the Nano Boost. And I was going to say I don't know where the Annihilation went. I swear I thought they just had it, but I might be crazy. Regardless here, having that nano boost to be able to try to live through this Death Blossom, for anybody that gets caught in it should be enough, but if it catches more than one person, it's over.
Yeah, 100%. And now Mellower gets the revenge. Nakano taking care of Pigwhips. He's going to clean up house here in time. And this DPS line is going buck wild this game. Miles ahead compared to how they were in that Lijiang.
Yeah, miles and miles and miles ahead of what they showed on that first map. And again, it comes down to the aggression, right? SCR definitely put their foot on the gas. They're not willing to take a back seat here, and Dragon's Gravity certainly starting to feel the pressure now. And the question is, what's going to come up next here? Obviously, the only ultimate for both squads is the Orbital Ray here. And that should be another aggression tool for this squad.
100% should be. And speaking of aggression, here we go. Tons of damage coming through there. Bonkerl's able to get rid of that, and we see a bit of a reset. Another boot for Nakano. Unfortunately, again, just going to be good for a little bit of ult charge. His Ascendants will take over the point. Looking night and day compared to map 1, as Yuna and Nakano both going to swap.
Yeah, you're seeing these swaps again, and it's almost out of a level of being frantic, right? They're not really they're struggling to find answers to what's being thrown at them here. Meanwhile, SCR, they're able to just sort of keep themselves in the driver's seat with this double speed composition here. So it is just a beautiful position to play from for SCR right now.
Yeah. Pressure to the back line. Laxon is going to get forced out pretty much immediately, though, is in a rough scenario, but Bolo shot directly over onto Marlon. See the trade starting to go back and forth. Laxon still has the ability to go with this Death Blossom should they desire, but looks like it's going to be pretty unnecessary. A little bit more stall. 63% on the board. Only one ultimate expended as well, so you're still going to have this Annihilation that has been rather bothersome so far.
Yeah, and having that tool in the back pocket is going to be nice here with the Annihilation. But again, both these squads have been able to survive these ultimates in seemingly unrealistic ways up to this point. So it would not be surprised to see it happen again here as SCR are on the approach.
Yeah, you see that pressure to the back once again is going to go for the Death Blossom with pretty much no health. Gets rid of 2. Stabilization around the corner. Nakano somehow gets taken out. More so, I should say, falls off, but Pigwhips throws it right back, gets rid of 1. But Seaweed in a rough scenario. This point might just slip over, and with this pick coming through here momentarily, it will. Pigwhips blips it back around, and now 1 fight away from tying this up.
I'll say it. This map is Pigwhips. Pigwhips has just decided that this map belongs to them, so they're just going to go ahead and just run it through it here. Now with a cage fight as well as the duplicate ready to go here for SCR in this final fight territory. I mean, unless this Annihilation and Orbital Ray combo are enough to not only break the cage but kill Bonker through it all, that's a good start though.
Yeah, we got a nice funnel right there, but, I mean, everyone's going to be kept alive to this Orbital Ray. I mean, Batiweed is just going to sit there and just take in all of this right now, but everyone's so low. Breaks it to try to go for the dive. Looks like it's going to work out brilliantly. Batiweed can only just slowly die upon the point. And, yeah, that is going to be that done and dusted. Dragon's Gravity still fighting back a lot here, but Ascendant showing why they got here in the first place. Going to tie up the series, and after that, they're looking at a lot more to form.
A lot more to form. The aggression was better overall. Just absolutely amazing to see here for their side. Of course, in Dragon's Gravity, now the ones actually sent back to the drawing board. They're going to have the ones who have to sort of rethink their approach here. Because obviously, the elephant in the room being, of course, you can ban some of these characters that are being a little bit annoying to you, but that is just a temporary band-aid on a long-term solution here, so we'll have to see what can necessarily come through when they make these decisions.
Yeah, 100%. And it's smart doing what SCR Ascendants was trying to do. They change the style, they bring in a different tank, they bring their own aggressive approach, and it works out brilliantly. Dragon's Gravity didn't really know what hit them at some of these fights. But honestly, I think a lot of this does come down to, again, that DPS line seemingly popping off. I think also the Lucios on both sides were doing an excellent job. I think combined they had like 6 or 7 like boops off the map total, which is insane for only 3 rounds, by the way. But it's a great display by both these teams. I think they're both looking good. I think both are very clear as to where their strengths and weaknesses are at, and it's going to be on the back of Dragon's Gravity now to change things around in their own right and try to make something happen, because if SCR Ascendants are going to keep running that composition, it's going to be very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, it's going to be a pain in the backside for sure here. Because again, you know, you expected to sort of have this brawl confidence after Lijiang, but you no longer have that necessarily because of the things that SCR was able to sort of adapt and add into their rotation here. So again, it's just a matter of being sent back to the drawing board and seeing how you react in those situations. At the end of the day, that's what playoffs and matches like this are all about here. So I'm very interested to see what sort of gets cooked up in the kitchen for Dragon's Gravity now that they're going to be the ones on the back foot.
Yeah, but hey, bright side for Dragon's Gravity, they're going to get an extra few minutes to figure out what they want to do in terms of the map pick and obviously the ban cycle going into that next map, because we're going to be heading over to our halftime break. So we're going to take a few minutes, adjust, let these teams catch their breaths, get a drink of water, and get ready, because this series is already back and forth. It could be going the distance. You'll find out right after this break.
Carpe diem. Carpe diem.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, from our halftime break. It's been a back and forth affair already here in the EU Masters Tier 1-1 between Dragon's Gravity and SCR Ascendants. And Mega, we went through that first map, and I feel like in the back of both of our minds, we thought this might just be a quick 3-0. Ascendants didn't win a single fight during that first map, but they turn it around, they win 3-0 on Suravasa, and now it genuinely feels like it's anybody's game.
Yeah, both teams have definitely sort of taken their map in stride here, with both having a confident win where they're able to thrash the other with relative ease here. So very interested to see how this is going to match up on King's Row. Again, another brawl favored map here, but there are those little pockets of high ground that you're going to have to worry about. Potentially some of these longer range hit scan options like the Sojourn really being able to take over.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, we've seen Soldier's been able to take over before. Pigwhip was doing a pretty decent job of it earlier, but did way better on the Reaper. But it's Dragon's Gravity who is going to have the first ban here in the situation. Honestly, after what just happened to you, it wouldn't surprise me if it was the Mauga in this situation. And obviously, you can just accordingly, on your roster if it is. But after what just happened, I mean, I can deal with the Reaper. I can deal with the Lucio, but having a Mauga that is consistently being kept up, yeah, no chance.
Yeah, I mean, the Mauga certainly was a thorn in the side, right? When you have both miniguns firing, there's only so much blocking our Ramatra can do before the life leaves our favorite robot's eyes here. And so it's just, again, one of those things that you sort of have to be able to take into account here. With the ban coming through onto, again, very interesting, the Mauga, of course, like we were just talking about, but how the response is going to be from SCR is what I'm wondering about.
I feel like you have a lot of different routes to go through if you're Ascendants in the situation. And given what you have just walked into, Reaper's another one that just kind of makes sense at the end of the day, based upon everything that you kind of just went through and dealt with. Because to be fair, both Reapers were doing good, but at the end of the day, it was just a certain pop-off potential that both Reapers were able to give. So you're basically trading out the possibility of having that pop-off potential for pretty much getting rid of their ability to do the exact same. Because if there was anybody like over on the side of Dragon's Gravity that was getting away with a ton of stuff, I mean, you had to look over at Laxon, who was doing a ton on that Reaper as well.
Exactly. And when that Reaper sort of being a thorn in your side, as it were, is just, again, something that you want to take out, and this could potentially swap things up here, as we are seeing another swap on the side of SCR. They're going to have Eric coming in, potentially to guarantee play those longer range characters, let the pig rest, as it were, here, just not needing that Reaper for this map since it's banned out.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good call, all things considered. Getting honestly getting a lot of your roster members in here, it shows again that flexibility and how much reliance that they have on not just the usual 5 starting members. Also, Bonkrol is staying in once again, so we are going to see obviously something other than that Mauga and see their own flexibility, and we could see something akin to like a Ramatra v Ramatra. They can go down the route, but the door is still open for something like an Orisa to come back into play. We saw the Zarya earlier on as well. We haven't even opened the door to like most of the other tanks within the game so far, but we'll see, because there has to be an adjustment here for both sides.
Exactly. This is the time to change it up, and let's see exactly what they've got. Obviously, you can read the defenders a little bit better because they have to sort of commit to their comp earlier. And Dragon's Gravity going to be committed to what is pretty much the most standard brawl you could possibly imagine. With the May as well as the Cassidy, now that it's been unbanned here, certainly being able to change things up. Meanwhile, SCR going to be at least on their mantra to start here, having the Kiriko Lucio as well. Certainly going to be interesting to see how they plan to keep that Ramatra up through the Armageddon that's going to be coming his way. But also, okay, I was going to say we're going for the Widow Shot, but I guess we're not. We're just going to be on the Echo right away from that.
Yeah, double limit. Sometimes you want to take the shot, but I mean, you just look up there and you realize nobody's going to pick that in this situation, especially when you're playing a comp that is going to play all 5 people together consistently. So, also big stickies for Marlon. It's just going to try to cause a lot of chaos here in the back, and honestly, I love it. It's causing an, oh, maybe you didn't expect a Lucio to come your way there. Not going to, although does die as a result, but honestly, if you're Ascendants, you love that trade out.
Absolutely, you take that trade out every day of the week and then twice on Sundays here, just because the attackers can get back so much quicker here. So now already Petit Wee trying to be aggressive and punished for it.
Yeah, and now you kind of already used that Nemesis form. You're going to get pushed back. You barely get the cleanse out on Bonkroll, and time, unfortunately, has been surrounded. While Bonkroll was the aggressive, the rest of the team didn't necessarily follow suit, and I know that can be a little bit difficult when you have, you know, a Soch Echo compared to a Cassidy May.
Yeah, can certainly be difficult here because, again, there's a lot of zoning pressure that's going to be put onto Bonkroll that isn't going to be put onto Petit Weed here, right? Unless it is a full-fledged rail shot plus the sticky bombs that are being dedicated onto Petit Weed here. Realistically, in the Ramatra matchup, Petit Weed is going to have a lot more agency to now push against Bonkroll.
Oh, a ton of agency, all things considered. Now you get into this next fight going. Bonkroll needs to play safe right now. You see always somebody getting over to the high ground, whether it's Marlon, whether it's Eric. You constantly want to have multiple places to be able to shoot from, take multiple angles. That's how you want to make it happen. But Marlon already has a copy available, and it's already gone. Bonkroll's been taken care of as well. That fight is going to go down to nothingness as Dragon's Gravity is, at least for the moment, just pretty much picking up where they left off.
Yeah, and
Oh,
they
no.
see everybody up in this hallway. I mean, you know, Lax, you had a bit of a moment there,
no.
wanting to try to get people, but yeah, now it's just a matter of everybody needs to live, and that's not going to be the case for the attackers who need to just get a full reset going.
Yeah, it doesn't work out as much as you really would have hoped. Unfortunate situation, but hey, at the end of the day, you get a reset here. 2 minutes still on the clock. Ultimates are going to be galore. But I guess in the situation, if you are Ascendants, you are hoping that Dragon's Gravity goes all in on these ultimates.
That's exactly what you're hoping, right? The waste of ultimates and stuff here. But as the fight's already engaging, I'm interested to see.
Yeah, Immortality Field is already gone. You see the immediate aggression, but you lose out on Yuna. And now you're just going to use one freeze here to try to end this thing. Not going to lose. He's out on the beat, too. That's gone. Dragon's Gravity has thrown everything into the well, and Ascendants could not be happier for it.
If I had a nickel for every Ajax in this series, I'd have 2. But now Petit Weed's still trying to turn the tides here. And there's only so much one Ramatra can do, but thanks to the Immortality Field, the defender's starting to come back. I mean, like you said, Dragon's Gravity have completely tapped their ult bank. SCR looking healthy as ever. Almost all 5 check marks ready to go.
Yeah, no, it's working out beautifully right now. We'll see how things will continue to trend here as this fight is still very much alive. Marlon's gone down. And now, considering Rush activated enough this backline scenario, they need to find somebody. Bonkroll has already gotten rid of 2. You see the chase down over onto Militan, and eventually this should come towards its natural conclusion. But we just going to stall out a little while longer. And as a defender, 30 seconds left on the clock. You can't be too mad, but they had such a stranglehold on them for the longest time.
Yeah, they certainly were putting them through their paces here. So now Dragon's Gravity actually might even get a chance to recontest this vital choke point. That's why you're seeing SCR already potentially trying to push ahead here, especially with that high ground angle that Eric is controlling. It's going to be all about trying to hold the space and things like that. Ooh, Marlon almost gets a snipe.
Yeah, close to going down right then and there. But is going to be able to hang around, stay alive. Beat is activated. Obviously, Bonkroll not going to get anything from that, which means Dragon's Gravity is just going to go with the aggression once again, surround them. But Eric actually ends up going down as well. So now Dragon's Gravity has fully latched on to this archway.
Yeah, and this is the position you want to be in for defenders on point B, right? This archway is going to be your bread and butter forever and always here. Obviously, they know Marlon's going to be lurking in these back alleys. So far, Militon has been pretty good about just firing a few shots back, keeping that Tracer scared here. But how can that Tracer fare when the front line's taking more presence?
We'll find out that question here very quickly. Annihilation has been activated. Hoping to get a little something. Eric, though, has gotten rid of Yuna early on. Is kind of just hanging around the high ground, but everybody is playing in a very awkward area for Eric to really get any value. And Lax is going to get rid of another. You are in a 3v3 situation, so right now, if you're Ascendants, you're thinking of maybe trying to hold out here and get everybody back in for another fight. But you lose out on Marlon, and now you gotta hope you can get back in time because Amelia 10 is still way far out.
Yeah, and that's sort of the downside to this choke, right? If you lose even one member, there's a chance you might just have to give it up, just because of, again, the respawns are so far away. They're having to cover such a vast distance to try to get back into the fight here. Like, you're seeing Eric now on the high ground, but it seems like Dragon's Gravity is still ready to hold this choke.
Oh, definitely still ready to try to hold on to the choke. Wouldn't blame them in the slightest if that were the case. As we're getting this going, Freeze comes out online. Bonkerl again gets taken out first and foremost. And at this stage of the game, I mean, things are working out brilliantly for Dragon's Gravity, but now they're out of ultimates. They have a Kitsune Rush about to be ready to be thrown in their face with no response.
Yeah, I mean, that is the one thing. Dragon's Gravity has been very heavy-handed with these ultimate decisions where they're kind of investing potentially too much into these fights. And it's been how SCR got the first point. It's potentially how they will break out of the choke here, assuming they find value off the Kitsune.
Well, they're definitely going to have to. It is a all-or-nothing affair right now. They need to be able to go in. Eric does manage to get early on, but again, Bonkerl just gets solo, froze away, is eventually going to fall over, and the rest of the squad got to try to find somebody on the way out. You're going to try to hunt down Yuna, who's super low, but manages to stay alive, and now if you're Marlon, you need to live because you're not necessarily the touch, but it's nice to have it sitting by.
Exactly right. Somebody's got to get on to this payload here, and it seems like Bonkerl is going to be able to have this one locked up. But again, that's more time exposed, especially in the face of an amplification matrix.
100%. We'll see what'll be the case here momentarily. They're trying to go in and get something. Double Annihilation activated. Beats being thrown. Everything in the kitchen sink being thrown out here. It's Eric that's hoping to find something here momentarily, but Emiliatan could be the one to pull this one back around. If you're SCR Ascendants, all you need to do is hang around, stay alive. It looks like it might go down that way. Bonkerl needs to be able to hang around, just kind of keep their life preserved for as long as possible, and looks like eventually they realistically should be able to stabilize. Nice little boop away right there. Laxon going down, and finally Dragon's Gravity going to be forced back. We'll have to reset here as Ascendants, they play their cards right and they wait it out.
Yeah, waiting it out here, and now these are going to be massive staggers that'll allow the payload to move through pretty much all of it, if not the entirety of point B here before everybody's going to be back on the side of Dragon's Gravity. They still have the Annihilation to their name, which obviously can't be met by a sound barrier, but it's going to be very important for SCR to try to play up here, just continue to keep their foot on the gas, because if they give an opening over to Dragon's Gravity and they can get onto this card, they just have much more stabilizing and staying power.
Yeah, a ton entirely, as Bonkerl is going to have to play up, going to be the aggressive, nearly gives up the point, is going to be frozen on, Annihilation activated, Cleanse being there as well, they need to go in, gets frozen away though, Bonkerl didn't have a chance there. Let them play the game, and unfortunately that is going to end things right there. It's better than it could have been, but this got stopped just before a second. I mean, for some teams, getting stopped this at this stage can be a bit of a death sentence.
Yeah, it certainly can be a death sentence. I mean, I feel as though SCR is certainly thanking their lucky stars for that extra meters and being able to get off of that initial choke point. Because again, it felt like there was just too much pressure to get through the choke. Very similar shades of map 1 here, where a lot of Dragon's Gravity's focus fire went onto Bonkerl, and nobody else really being focused down or being given space, thanks to Bonkerl having to play so unbelievably safe to try to live through some of these engagements here. Now, Dragon's Gravity on the attack, though, we'll have to see what their strategies entail, because they're not going to be the ones in control of these sightlines or chokes anymore. It's going to be on the other foot here, and SCR could certainly pull off a very similar defense.
Yeah, 100% they could. They don't necessarily have to change a whole lot within their system right now. That's the craziest part about it here. As obviously you're going out there, you kind of are seeing the Symmetra. Don't know if you're gonna see it here. I wouldn't imagine, but I mean, Laxon's normally been pretty transparent as to what they try to run here, so I guess it wouldn't be all that surprising, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, It would not be surprising, just because, again, what are the strategies with the Symmetra? It's going to be just teleporting to the high grounds and things like that. The question is, will Marlon realize what's happening? And seeing everybody teleport away, already Eric's gone.
Literally just gone. Doesn't want anything to do with that right there. Nakano takes care of. Eric is brilliant. It shuts things down immediately. And all you can do if you're Ascendants, is the map has slipped on you. You're forced into a situation where you're gonna have to just run on the point and engage. Yuna, though, does go down to Marlon, so it does open up one door, but that door is instantly going to be taken away once more, and you TP directly into your tank that is getting murdered. Marlon, though, is putting on a clinic right now, is almost single-handedly keeping this alive, has gotten rid of 4. I mean, Marlon, by themselves, basically, won that fight.
Yeah. And being able to, again, just win that fight single-handedly here, that's one of the powers that Venture can bring sometimes. But as everybody else is on that respawn wave, trying to make sure you get back, Marlon, yeah, just already knows it's better safe than sorry to just get into a safer position as the approach is already here.
Yep, 100% going to try to go for it another time. Marlon has to grab that mini health pack. Needs to try to get out alive here. Is going to find a nice boop. Gets rid of Laxon. Marlon is doing great. Needs to be kept alive. Unfortunately, doesn't come through, and now bodies have to make their way on. Bonkrel needs to be kept up. It's going to have the ability to sustain in 2 seconds. Eventually barely gets it out on time. It's Petite Weed that goes down as a direct result. You need to try to find some kind of cleanup here. Bonkrel will eventually run out of form, but is going to be able to stabilize as once again they barely hold on.
Yeah, being able to live there, absolutely massive. But this fight is just putting in bolt after bolt and getting picks like crazy.
Yeah, now they're just going to beat. They're doubling downing. They don't want to have to deal with that. Honestly, I like it. You go aggro, and there's nothing that Ascendants can do in that situation. They're going to have to give up the point. Going to be 4.5 minutes on the clock here. I mean, Dragon's Gravity, a worthwhile beat.
Yeah, certainly a worthwhile sound barrier, right? Being able to guarantee getting the point unlocked here is massive. And now trying to make sure that you don't get stuck in that chokehold, like that's why you see everybody currently playing so far up here. Eric potentially has to make sure not to catch an icicle to the brain here, or that could spell disaster for SCR, who are going to be looking for a re-engage opportunity with their bank of ultimates they have.
Oh, 100% here. Now, this could be tough, because if you lose a fight, this could fall apart pretty instantly. And that Casino Rush is going to be a little aggressive, but there's still a fight being taken place. Yuna has been taken care of. It's a pretty decently sized investment for Ascendants right now, because they're going to win the fight, and that is fantastic and all. But now your 2 ultimates down. You're going to have a freeze your way, which you're going to have to use that beat, because if Bonkro goes down, that fight's basically dusted.
Yeah, and you do not want a fight to be dusted in this current moment here. The upside is hope. The hope is that you rehold the choke here, but already Bonkrel showing this hesitation is going to allow Dragon's Gravity to get back in right away here, and just this fear of the freeze is sending them running to the hills.
Yeah, it 100% is. Eric has already gone down. You need to get out of there right here and right now. Beat has been activated to just keep Bonkrel alive, but now there's a freeze here, and there's no way for you to survive with your Bonkrel. If you get hit with that, nothing saves you. You are frozen. You are dead.
Exactly. And so now that is sort of the fear that is going to occur here, especially with Bonkrel popping any and everything here, having to try to run out of the freeze, but still being chased.
Yeah, will eventually be taken down. Everything being thrown to make it happen is down to the back of Eric to try to collect this one up. Bodies need to start throwing themselves over on the point. One after another, pulse bomb being thrown around. Nothing coming in from Marlon. It's the clutch time as Bonkrel going to try to make their way back over on that wrecking ball. But it's literally member after member having to throw themselves over on this point. Double stick on Eric is taking care of business. You're having to run back, and eventually Bonkrel is going to get back. Pixon has gotten rid of 3 right here. We'll be able to clutch it back around. And again, Ascendants barely hold on.
Yeah, Ascendants give themselves a state of execution, but now they find themselves in a comp that requires a lot of agency here, right? Bonkrel's going to have to be aggressive, sync up with Marlon on this Tracer to be able to sort of end these fights before they can begin, because if you give Dragon's Gravity any time in these fights, you're going to see a ball that's going to get caught in a slow field and focus down time and again here, so it's going to be incredibly careful here, and it's already happened.
Yeah, and is somehow not taken out. He's going to take the long way, which I think is really smart. He's going to be able to go loop around, but has to grab the Mega. And unfortunately, you saw that TP over there. Eric does get a nice hit. Another Pulse Bomb is available. Gets rid of Yuna, so the door opens back up once again to be able to hold on to this point. You will end up losing out on Millowers, but you should be you should be able to restabilize if you get rid of them, and you will eventually be able to. But here is your biggest issue. You clean up, you get everybody back, but now Nakano has another beat, and they can just do what they did in that first point over there and just beat and rush.
Yeah, and so it certainly is a bad position for SCR. Which again, the way to mitigate it is Bonkrel is going to have to try to go in with Marlon's help and try to execute somebody before they can even get to the point. Because Dragon's Gravity can make it to the objective with both the Beat and Blizzard here. It's going to be Curtains here. Emilianton doing a great job zoning.
Ooh! Yeah, unit is gone, though. We'll see whether or not there's going to be an investment regardless, though. Laxton is super low, has been taken care of, and that's what you got to do right there. And now, you get Marlon out alive, and if you're not going to, you might have to beat a little earlier than you had hoped to getting into this one, honestly.
Yeah, you might just have to beat just to cover the distance here because, again, it's sort of this adaptation where SCR has realized what they need to do here, and they're starting to execute on it pretty flawlessly now that they have a Sound Barrier and Minefields to boot.
Yeah, Minefields works out brilliantly. Nakano is down. No beat available. We're going to have a couple of late deaths, and if I'm Petitweed, yeah, the Annihilation's out too! You get the Annihilation out, but I just have to make the way back, Mega.
That investment is brutal. Like, the fact that you threw both of those ultimates in when you could have set somebody else up for the touch, I mean, it's absolutely brutal. They're trying to zone this Tracer so incredibly hard, and I don't think anyone's going to make it to the card.
And they will. They'll make it to the car. Beat has been activated. Laxton gave up and went over to the Pharah. Has fallen over. Eric has now been taken care of. Everything has been invested here from Ascendants. Every squad has thrown everything they've had into the playbook right now. It is ball, befall, stall up the wazoo, but Nakano has fallen over. Laxton still hasn't made it back. It's Emilianton in Petitweed just trying to hold on as much as humanly possible, getting knocked away. Gonna be pressed away from the point twice. Ascendants hold on, and Dragon's Gravity fumble the bag.
I mean, yeah, that's the best way to put it. This map was completely in Dragon's Gravity's control, and somehow, some way, it just continued to slip further and further out of their hands, like clutch plays like this from Marlon here, being able to get pick after pick in a fight. And again, it's just sort of SCR knowing how to adapt in the moment here, right? Changing up their play style with that ball comp exactly like I was saying they needed to, but they had to be much more aggressive. They couldn't let things get over to the objective and things like that. It's absolutely amazing to see here for the side of SCR and Dragon's Gravity. You're definitely sent reeling and wondering what went wrong.
I mean, it's weird to say, but it's not necessarily much of what Dragon's Gravity was doing wrong in that situation. They were trying to replicate what they did in that very first point, which is basically, hey, they built up that beat pretty quickly. They realized, hey, we're in a situation where if we use beat, we essentially guarantee this fight. Which, to be fair, Mega, using just one ultimate to guarantee you first point, you take that every day of the week. And like you say, twice on Sunday. But they try to replicate the same exact thing, but the problem is that the point is so far back to where you can't do that. You have someone like Marlon who's constantly delivering pressure before you can even get there. And unfortunately, everyone pretty much follows suit on Ascendants, and they keep delivering pressure early to the point where Dragon's Gravity, they have to try to go early, but they're not prepared to go early in that situation. And maybe that's the thing of like, hey, maybe they should have just rotated far and try to bend out of sight lines and try to do that a little differently. But hindsight's 20/20, unfortunately, it just doesn't work for them.
Yeah. And again, it's all about those levels of adaptation, right? Because obviously it's one thing to sort of sub players in and out and then sort of get the correct lineup in and different heroes and things like that, sure. But being able to adapt your play style, that's what separates a good team from a great team here. And SCR definitely showed that to perfection there with their change of not just the heroes, but sort of that stylistic difference here. And it's something that wasn't able to be replicated by the side of Dragon's Gravity here. So I'm interested to see what exactly the plan is going to be for Dragon's Gravity. You've gone through quite a few of the brawl maps now. You only have escort and push left to select from. So this is going to sort of make an interesting choice here that they have to decide now.
Yeah, not the easiest choice in the world either in this situation. But to be fair, all things considered for Dragon's Gravity, you shouldn't go into the situation feeling discouraged. I really think like 65% of that map, it was in their control. 100% it was. And it's about just recapturing the times of dominance that you did have, because they have proven that in a brawl-like situation they should be able to win, but it's the scrappiness and the willing to change things around for Ascendants that are kind of giving them a situation where they have been able to bounce back the way that they have. So I think at this situation, it's not always the hardest thing to double down, but I think what Dragon's Gravity has been able to do, I think you do double down. Go back to taking those fights first every single time you possibly can and keep that aggression up.
Exactly. Keeping your foot on the gas is so far what's been the recipe for both of these teams, right? Whenever you're the aggressor, it's been working out for that team in the matchup here, even across compositions and things like that. So it is going to be super crucial here to see if these teams that can actually learn and adapt to that, or if they're just going to continue to potentially let the other sort of lead the way, as it were, here. But we do know where at least the battlefield is going to be for our next map, and it is going to be Runasapi. Again, very much a brawling map, but also when I think of this map, I do think of Malga personally. So this might be a time where you gotta, consider, now that you don't have that ban in the back pocket, what's going to be coming out.
Yeah, and Malga can become very prevalent very quickly, and now you have to look for somewhere else to ban, but Dragon's Gravity is going to be the one to ban out first here of the situation. And so far, going back and forth between tank and support, you see Ascendants just hate DPS, apparently. But I guess in this situation, you think about what you don't want to deal with. Honestly, I could see them getting rid of something like the Venture or the Tracer, because you have someone like Marlon who has gone wild. That last map on both of those characters has done a lot to hamper the backline, and a map like Runasapi, the way it works, I would want to personally get rid of something like that.
I would agree. It's just a matter of not wanting to deal with that anymore, in terms of the backline presence and things like that. Not wanting to have people flank that are constantly doing any and everything here. But then again, limiting those options if you want to play them yourselves is always a factor to consider as well here. But that being said, Dragon's Gravity is actually going to ban out the Echo here. I mean, Marlon certainly was playing that one an awful lot, and if you don't want your hit scan to have to worry about something in the sky, then that's certainly the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I still don't think Marlon was doing a ton of great work with the Echo, at least in comparison to other stuff, but hey, you never know. You never know at the end of the day. Maybe you do want that Tracer available. Maybe you want to take a 1v1. Because we got to saw it like in brief points, but we never got to see it like definitively for a whole round or map. So we'll see if that'll be the case. As Ascendants, their own ban around the corner, they won't be able to ban DPS. Oh, whatever shall they do? In this situation right here, if you're Ascendants, honestly, I don't know what's a good shot at this stage of the game, because it feels like you could go just about genuinely anywhere and feel, comfortable with it. I imagine they go support, though. Like, there were certain characters like Juno that were doing a lot. We see that Baptiste get a lot of play with her Ramatra. I just genuinely couldn't tell you for a fact, though.
Yeah, and I mean, again, that's just the factor, right? You're not going to be able to guarantee for a fact what these teams are going to be coming up with, but the ban on the other side, the Ramatra being taken out here. The question is, are we now just in a Malga mirror? And if so, how do Dragon's Gravity intend to respond here? Is there going to be a Malga in the tank for Petite Weed here? Because so far, Petite Weed has exclusively played Ramatra besides about a minute of Wrecking Ball here. So at least for this matchup, we don't know exactly what else is in the hero pool for Petite Weed.
Yeah, and that's a rough one right there, not being able to... I mean, to be fair, the ability to protect the Ramatra was 100% there, and now it's gone. And to be fair, maybe Petite Weed comes out on the Orisa and just gives us, like, the best display in all of VU. You never know. But Petite Weed has been doing a really good job on that Ramatra throughout the entirety of the night. And now you have to see how they're going to be able to adjust, because, again, you have to go in a situation where maybe you have to go and match the Malga. Maybe you go something like the Orisa to try to counter it out. But even then, there is no tank that just definitively shuts down Malga 10 times out of 10. That's just the kind of character Malga is. Even in the world of 2025 Overwatch, that's the situation that we kind of have to deal with. So if it comes down to a Malga v Malga situation, if I'm Ascendants, I'd be feeling pretty good about that, honestly.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Ascendants is sort of the game that they've wanted to play here. Now the question is, of course, what is going to be the game plan? Because again, we know that Ascendants is comfortable with this. We know Ascendants is going to be exactly in the position that they want to be. I mean, in multiple regards, right? You find yourselves on match point. You find yourselves in the advantage right now. You find yourself pretty much everything is going right for SCR Ascendants and Dragon's Gravity. After a bitter King's Row loss, you just got to make sure not only to turn the mental around, but being able to adapt and sort of level up and figure out how you're going to push through this map with no Ramatra.
Yeah, definitely going to be difficult, but it is still doable. We'll see what the case is going to be, as sometimes I always forget the difference between a llama and an alpaca, but that is, to be fair, they look similar, don't they? If you think of what an alpaca and what a llama look like, that is, I'm pretty sure, an alpaca, though, but I don't know why this is a relevant point of mine. I never usually see some of the things here on Runasapi, because to be fair, Runasapi is a very beautiful map. I've said it many times, I will say it again.
Yeah. Um,
Mega does not
like,
care for my Runasapi rants.
well, no, it's not that I don't care for the Runasapi rants, but like, listen, I'm not trying to nitpick, but there are definitely differences between llamas and alpacas. I'll say it. I'll go ahead and fight on this one. Like, listen, did you know that alpacas can die of loneliness? Like, they literally have to be like paired together at all. Well, no, because like other things can like die of a rogue. Like that's been heard of, but like alpacas specifically, they have to be sold two at a time. Like, you cannot just have one alpaca, otherwise it will just die on its own. But anyway, alpacas aside, the only animals you got to worry about is the hamster potentially here, as the wrecking ball is going to be the choice. No Malkas on either side to start here.
Yeah, we'll see if there's any broken hearts on the side of Dragon's Gravity. Remember, it is win or out in this map right here. They want to bring it all the way. They're going to have to if they want to try to make this happen. You're having a trade out of the Kirikos immediately, but now with Ascendants, no longer any support standing by. Bonkgirl nearly goes off the map, but for the time being, Dragon's Gravity is going to be able to settle in place. Petite Weed showing off the Junker Queen for the first time today, and Junker Queen, I don't care what anybody says in 2025, still has a good amount of utility.
Good amount of utility, but also, again, it's just the agency, right? You saw Petite Weed sort of before not giving Bonkgirl to the chance to sort of set up that slam and slamming onto the whole team. Petite Weed was already just sort of in doing damage to the rest of SCR, while Bonkgirl was having to set that up here. So being fast on the engage is key for a Junker Queen.
100% it's queen. It's key in that situation right there. Marlon has been taken care of early, though, and now you're seeing Dragon's Gravity just kind of run away with it right now. Amelia 10 does be kept up with 1 health to their name, and eventually, with Eric being taken down, all you can really do if your Bonkgirl is stall out. The bright side is you're gonna have some bombs here soon. Unfortunately, it's not gonna matter, as a minute and a half in, Dragon's Gravity is gonna already cap this point.
Yeah, already having the forward spawns here, but that is just a drop in the bucket on Runasapi specifically here. There is still plenty that has to be considered. As we're going through, as Bonkgirl does already have a minefield ready to go here, potentially dropping that on the point here, as it seems that the bot is currently being stolen as the rest of the team's fighting up.
Yeah, 100%. Millington gonna get rid of another, though. The card does get stolen away momentarily, but it's only gonna be momentary, and I like the fact that you're gonna see Bonkgirl and Marlon do this for the next, like, 8 minutes of just constantly disrupting the card and making it as difficult as humanly possible. As mine's being thrown out, but Weed only able to get rid of a couple of them. Realistically, it's going to cause a little bit of an issue right here, but for the time being, the restabilization from SCR Ascendants is, I mean, you would say it's nearly immediate. You're going to see the aggression from Amelia 10 again, just causing multiple members to look up on them, while Bonkgirl is just getting cornered and turned to shreds.
Yeah, and, maybe not the best place for a Reaper to try to wraith out there. But again, like you said, the pressure that's currently being thrown down onto Ameliaton is certainly, again, just that extra factor here. And Bonkgirl already going to give that one up here. No more Wrecking Ball over to the Malga instead here. But Dragon's Gravity now built up a bank of ultimates to sort of continue their momentum forward.
100% they have. And we'll see what the case is going to be here, as we're sitting at nearly 100 meters already. Ascendants have been struggling out the gate here. Beat right around the corner, going to try to get out of there, but Beat going to come in just in time. But we not quite ready for that one. Bonkgirl back over on this Malgus, see if it's going to find its inherent value like we saw it have earlier. And for the time being, we'll see stabilization come through, but already 100 meters for Dragon's Gravity. You only use 1 ultimate in that whole exchange. You are some happy campers right now.
Yeah, certainly happy campers indeed here. You have this overclock as well as the Kitsune combo to drop on top of this, but obviously the Kiriko is going to have a much more important job, which is holding that cleansing Suzu. Knowing Petite Weed has the rampage, it's going to be the only thing stopping for multiple members of your team being de-antied. As the pause comes through, somebody's probably in the process of disconnecting. We're going to hold up. We're pausing. We're champing. I want to see who gets disconnected.
I bet it's Yuna. I bet it's Yuna. Oh, I was close. Different support.
Support player cut. But yeah, so with that, besides that pause here, again, it's a very pivotal position SCR finds themselves in right now, where it pretty much puts all of the power into the Kiriko's hands, not just offensively with the Kitsune Rush, but holding that Suzu for the Rampage whenever it comes.
Yeah, 100%. Rampage is still having a lot of utility. You're going to have to invest in that situation when it comes to whether it's a cleanse, whether it's to beat, maybe it's even both in that situation. But they got to have some kind of stabilization point. I think they'll be able to figure it out here. It's really about trying to get a good timing with the Rampage, because it's not an ult you can just throw at any time. It needs proper planning. But Dragon's Gravity is going to have to take a moment to rest, because they do need to get Nakano back into the fight. And as you see Petite Weed just slowly start backing up. Oh, got moved out!
Ooh. Yeah, that's a brutal pick here. And like you said, you had to wait to get your Lucio back in. It's an unfortunate disconnect here, but SCR, I mean, hey, listen, you take the good graces where they come your way here. Now, barreling towards their own set of forward spawns here, and they're just going to have to, again, rehash out this same exact fight with Eric on and off angle, just constantly shooting the railgun.
100% now. Already up to 40 meters, starting to take like a little bit more of that deficit fight after fight. But now you're into this one. You need to try to take away the big dub on this one. You see it start going wild right out the gate. Unfortunately, losing to Kiriko earlier on here, and your rush means absolutely nothing here. Marlon doing their darnest to pull this one back around, but at the end of the day, works out brilliantly. Dragon's Gravity, they do commit 2 compared to the 1, but all things considered, this is what Dragon Gravity is going to want. Taking 50-50 fights for the rest of the series.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's all they need to do right now, right? They have the lead, right? They don't necessarily need more meters. They just have to prevent SCR from getting meters in the first place here. Amelia and Tom most likely going to hold on to this Death Blossom and sort of use it reactively once within the cage fight from Bonkrel, sort of punishing Bonkrel for trying to cage people up, but no, actually goes forward.
Yep, and unfortunately, booped away. Getting no real value in that situation, unfortunately. But either way, things are getting going right now. Eventually, Ascendant's going to come away with that fight. As, yeah, Ascendants take that fight away. We'll be able to get back to midpoint. And, hey, got the ult advantage, too.
Yeah, with the ult advantage in tow now here for SCR. As they're able to just continue on, like you said, Dragon's Gravity really has tapped the bank here, and they don't even notice Marlon holding back here, but feel as though the Junker Queen may be aware.
Yep, 100%. You see the engagement here from Marlon is causing a little bit of disruption. No one goes down as a direct result, but Petite and Millington going down does create a lot of disruption. Marlon, again, has been going buck wild the entirety of this series. Could be staying this way. Does eventually get sliced down. But Laxton is sitting incredibly low. Nakano is very slow as well. Everybody's right around the corner, and they're going to be able to get that spawn point unlocked, which means everybody from Ascendants should be able to get back relatively quickly.
Yeah, relatively quickly indeed here, but the forward spawn's already being secured. It's just devastating.
Yeah, 100%.
As now, again, the Kitsune Rush is already mirrored.
Yeah, and to be fair, not man the slightest. Beat comes out. Eric barely kept alive. This is a lot being used by both sides to try to make this one happen. Militon eventually getting pushed down. And now it's Laxton once again trying to get away with something with this blade. Bonkrel is in the middle of nowhere right now. As eventually Ascendants lose out on the fight. Dragon's Gravity going to keep pushing on forward. And now they have ult advantage. And there is no beat left. And Petite is going to have this rampage here.
Yeah, and again, that puts all of it on to Pixins, as we're seeing another cleansing Suzu going to have to be well timed here. But it just is not, it's much easier than the number Akiri.
100%. Now you go into this one. Trades go back and forth again. Marlon gets rid of 2. It's Militan versus Marlon at the stage of the game, ladies and gentlemen. If you could not tell already. Eric has to go on the run. We'll be able to get Laxton within the process, though. But that bot is being stolen away a little bit. We're going to see if maybe the midpoint can be unlocked. And in fact, it does get unlocked. So even though Ascendants will win this fight, Dragon's Gravity will have the ability to get everybody on the good respawn.
Yeah, and being able to fight this bot before SCR reactivates their own forward spawns is going to be massive. It's going to give them that second lease on life, like you were saying here. And again, having that rampage with no sound barrier in tow, it really is going to be massive as it's already thrown out.
Yeah, and Nakano Thought about going for the beat. Thankfully, didn't, and now you're going to go in right there. Rough scenario for Marlon, who's going to try to get the cleanup right here. Eventually, will lose out in the 2v1. The T-Weed needs a little bit of backup, is eventually going to get so, should be able to restabilize, and Ascendants again going to fall over. And Dragon's Gravity, I mean, again, they're doing the 50-50 fights. They still have the beat. They've been doing a really good job this entire map.
Exactly. They got the lead early on. They just have to hold on to it now. They don't necessarily need anything extra or anything on top of it here, as the overclock's going to start this off for Eric.
100% it is. Eric wants to find a little something right here. Deflection of those comes through. Laxon is just in a 2v1 situation. Can't do a whole lot. Beat is activated now from both sides, I should add. And now, if you're Ascendant, you don't want to have to invest anything more into the situation. As a matter of fact, you definitely don't have to. They're going to be able to go into this fight with a Kitsune Rush v Kitsune Rush. The problem is, once again, beat expended, which, by the way, Millerwork got that beat back pretty quick, all things considered, but now Laxon's got a free grav.
Yeah. And so now you're having to try to go forward with this Dragon Blade here. And it's very important that literal split second, Dragon's Gravity, both Petite Weed and Yuna, did not get the forward spawns. So now this is definitely going to be a fight that occurs on the bot here as we dip below a minute. SCR going to try to push their advantage here and definitely be the aggressors by throwing out this Kitsune Rush as early as possible.
As you 100% should. And they're going to get into this one. Remember, 30 seconds left on the clock here. It is a big must-win fight coming online here for Ascendants. They still have a cage fight available. It's used. Yuna has been taken care of, and now they're being torn away one after another. And with 25 seconds on the board, it's entering worst-case scenario. Laxon gonna die late, and now I don't think anybody can get back in time here. They could try, but if they do it, they need to bum rush it.
Yeah, it's going to be a stagger touch, if that, which means that if the lead flips over to SCR, you're having to not just win a fight here, but having to flip all the way back over to the other side of the map. Oh, they're just feeding into Marlon.
Yeah, Marlon. Marlon puts on the 4 at the very end. Is down to Laxon to be a hero for the squad. Does get rid of 3. Will fall over. Ascendants will eliminate Dragon's Gravity. All the heroics in the world could not be enough. They move on to that next round. Unfortunately for Dragon's Gravity, as hard as they fought back, their journey comes to an end.
Like those final moments, it's something that you're going to just unfortunately relive, because again, you sort of forced the fight way too early because you were so worried about giving up the lead and not wanting to have to refight through the entire map again. So you rush yourselves onto the point, but you're rushing into the waiting arms of Marlon on that venture, with between the burrow, between the drill dash, and any and everything in between. Like phenomenal AoE damage to just get all of those kills as they come through there. So Dragon's Gravity, it's just an unfortunate way to go here, but SCR probably a lot closer than they thought it would be here, but they managed to stave off execution for another day.
Yeah, 100% exactly what you need to do in this situation. And hey, at the end of the day, you gotta be happy if your SCR Ascendants, not the best start in the world, but you go in here, you make an example of these next 3 maps, and you do a good job of it. It is very back and forth, though. They had a very a plethora of clutch moments back on King's Row. They fight from being down 100 to 0 over here on Runasapi. It shows the guts that this team has, the ability to kind of bounce back in these situations and make the most of it, not just pretty much lying down once you're behind. But they made it happen, and you got to be happy about that situation, and hopefully you can propel that with some momentum into that next round.
Exactly. But, you know, speaking of propelled into the next round here, we will actually get to hear from the team themselves about how that match broke down and things like that. So as we get a quick look at the bracket, we see what we're going to be dealing with in the future. SCR going up against Smile anyways, things like that for the next lower round too. But with that being said, we're going to throw it to a quick break while we set up interview stuff for y'all. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the conclusion of our EU Masters matchup. It was a back-and-forth display. Clutches abound in all 4 of our maps, but eventually, SCR Ascendants takes the W, moves on to the next round, surviving another day. And here for a quick little interview is not just 1, but 2 members of the squad here before us. A squad that came in, and as I said before, was incredibly clutch throughout the entire day. It's Pixons as well as Eric joining us, and first and foremost, congratulations on a big win here to stay alive.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, 100%. You go into this game, it is bouncing off the back of an unfortunate loss in the first round of the upper bracket. So whether this is as individuals, but as a team, what did you kind of need in this situation to bounce back in this losers bracket game?
I think after the loss the other week, we were thinking like we just got to kind of take it one game at a time through this losers bracket. Just try and play everyone on their merits and try and do our best as a team.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly is the safe way to approach things here. But then obviously coming into this matchup, you know, on paper, right, Dragon's Gravity, the lowest seed, it feels like it should have been like kind of a one-sided affair, but they definitely brought their A game today and certainly played it close. Were y'all expecting it to be that close, or was there some curveballs thrown your way that y'all had to adapt
to? Probably the Ram comp. We hadn't been scrimming teams that were heavy on that, so we had to figure out on the fly how to adjust to it.
I mean, hey, listen, the Ramatra can get us all sometimes, certainly here. But obviously you had those adaptations and things like that that you needed to do. But, you know, besides just the Ramatra, is there any one particular either hero or player that you want to point out on the other team that was certainly giving you trouble or potentially even, you know, a thorn in the side that y'all felt like you had to address?
Definitely a May with the freeze perk on King's Row was kind of painful to deal with.
Yeah, not something you want to deal with in that situation. I rank games cursed for the rest of my life thanks to that. But obviously, y'all take a good win here. You move on to that next round. Y'all be going up against Smile anyways, which just lost to TFT in that upper bracket. So y'all are coming in with a win. They're coming in with a loss. I mean, are you just following the exact same mentality that you had in this game, which was take it one at a time? Or, you know, do you know enough about Smile anyways to kind of have a game plan going into it?
Probably just one game at a time. We've been receiving a lot of coaching that our manager has organized for us, and I think that's going to make it easier for us to deal with things moving forward.
All right, we'll definitely see if that's the case. And one quick final question before we get to the end proceedings. But right now, that upper bracket finals, Bricked Up's taking on TFT, whether that goes to the grand finals in that first spot. Do you just personally have a prediction on who you think is going to win that game, or maybe who you hope is going to win that game?
I'm going to go with Bricked Up.
Probably Bricked Up as well.
All right. 2-1 Bricked Up. We take those. All right. Hey, there you go. But with that all being the case, obviously, we want to let you be able to go and celebrate with your squad. But before we let you both go, just if there's anything else you want to add and say to everybody on broadcast, or if there's anybody you want to shout out or thank, y'all are free to do so.
I want to shout out Shadowy on Bricked Up and Vern.
Probably Ravenge. Yeah.
All right, Mega. I guess it's as simple as that right there. Love to see it. But hey, one more time, congratulations on a big win here. Hope y'all have a good night celebrating, and obviously, best of luck with the next round of the playoffs.
Thank you.
All right, y'all have a good day now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, just another winners interview, but I believe we also have an interview from the side of Dragon's Gravity here, because, it's the last time we'll be seeing them this CGL season, so it's nice to get a proper send-off going. If I look, yeah, we actually have Lax with us in the VC. Lax, how you doing?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Yeah.
Was the match entertaining?
Oh,
I hope so.
that's the most, that honestly, low key, probably the most entertaining match I've seen in a hot minute now. Like, I could never tell. It was like, oh, it's gonna be a sweep this way, and it's gonna be a sweep this way, and it's like, okay, both teams are just constantly cutting each other off at the knees. It was fantastic. But just a minute ago, we kind of asked the same question before when it came to Ascendants. I mean, you guys have to bounce back from that loss in that first game right there. So just in general, just, what was kind of the game plan originally going into today? Because y'all started off on a really strong foot.
Yeah. In fact, the last match was very decisive for us. We didn't play any Ram comp before the last match when we got wrecked. We kinda just said, let's play what our tank wants to play and follow him on that path before we were like a bit lost on what to play and when to play. And it was okay. We were expecting to get destroyed 3-0 and go back to sleep, but it was okay. So we kept in Scream playing that Ram comp, and I think it worked pretty well in that match. We kind of threw the two last map. It's pretty sad, but we are happy on how we turn things around. So it's fine for us.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, literally from talking with them, they definitely were not a fan of the Ramatra, to say the least here, and they definitely found themselves caught off guard. And obviously, that's some solid strategies that you can tuck into the back pocket here. So just sort of picking your mind, getting your thoughts on, potentially what the future could hold. Do you see a core of this roster sticking together? Is it just going to kind of be everybody going their separate ways?
No, I think we are still in the same team. We are gonna keep the same roster. We got the All for One, which is a French tournament, coming. We got LAN coming up next. So we are sticking together and hope to see you next season in the CGL. I hope so.
No, I'm definitely excited to see that come to fruition, and obviously with that being the case and y'all having plenty to do getting ready for the next season, I would say whether it's you personally or maybe just as a team, I mean, what was kind of the biggest takeaway for y'all over the last couple of months here playing in CGL?
What do you mean by takeaway?
As in, like, the lesson you kind of took from it, or what you learned from it, I would say.
I think the biggest lesson was about how to ban and how to play around it. The last season was with ban too, but we didn't use them properly. Like it was just like we don't want to play ball, so we ban ball. But right now, I think we learned a little bit more on how we can use this ban to our advantage. We ban this character to play it in the next map or something like that. I think that's the biggest lesson.
I mean, absolutely an amazing thing to learn from there. But with all that being said, before we send you off, if there's any, shout outs, anybody you want to, give props to, now would be the time to do so.
Yeah, I want to shout, of course, all of my teammates. We played very well. I'm proud of them. I also want to thank our manager, Neodos. Big shout out to him to set up matches in a good time. And our coach, Aisata, which we couldn't have won anything if he wasn't there on the playoff. So thanks to all of them.
Love to see it at the end of the day. And hey, obviously everything in consideration, y'all get out there, you'll put out a fantastic fight. I hope to see y'all continue to get better and better as the offseason goes on, and see more of some of the amazing stuff, honestly, we got to see here today. So with that being the case, best of luck with everything in the future. I wish nothing but success for you and the rest of your team.
Thanks for the cast. Hope you got entertained. That's the thing I want everybody to get. See you.
All right, take care now.
Bye.
I mean, hey, listen, it absolutely hit the nail on the head. An entertaining matchup, right? I mean, it was just fun to watch start to end. You really could not tell where anything was going to happen uh, until the very last moments there. So, absolutely a banger of a series to watch.
Yeah, no, that was a really good series. Like 3-1 doesn't fully reflect it. This had every right to go like 5 map spot as well. You look back at King's Row. If one fight over the course of 4 minutes goes differently, we're probably in our 5th map right now, finishing it out. It's crazy how big those clutches can kind of make the impact on the entirety of the series. But with that being the case, obviously excited to see SCR Ascendants journey continue onward, but of course the journey continues for a lot of other teams here today. There's still plenty of games to be had, still plenty of teams still surviving within their brackets as well. There's still quite a lot of teams here in the EU Masters tier. On top of that, remember, this was just the first round of the lower bracket. There's still 6 teams that are alive that are rallying, I mean, competitively for these positions to get to the grand finals. It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely great. It's almost like CGL playoffs is the place to be because you just got entertaining matches all lined up here. While this is the end of EU for today, we actually have not 1, not 2, but 3 matches for NA being streamed later tonight. So that'll be certainly fun to watch and tap into as well, of course. And then, of course, more EU action coming throughout the week as teams schedule their matches and start making their way deeper and deeper into these brackets. So, obviously, just make sure you're following and doing all that stuff because you don't want to miss a single match.
Yeah, definitely do not want to at all. But with that being the case, we're done here for AU. Please have yourself a fantastic night. Enjoy the NA night of CGL playoffs, and obviously many more games to come. So, y'all have a fantastic night, and we'll see you on later on tonight.
I don't know what you want. Let's have